But so we're in new digs over here. We're normally at the hub or sometimes just remote doing our stuff. And let's go ahead and hit
the hub is the Microsoft. So anybody who's been here first time, we do a lot of time. I'm from Microsoft. We have an office on the second floor in the AI building, so all the way across by the lake. So that's usually where we're going to be. We're going to be there for the next meeting.
Yep. All right. What's going on today? We're going to say welcome, say hello to folks. We're going to talk about logistics in a bit to say what's where for the folks that are here. The topic today is AI agents for everyone. I think it was originally my title was like, for dummies, crossed out everyone. That was too complicated, so we just fixed it. Thank you.
And then we always have time for just questions and discussion. Yes. So it's an informal group. If you have a question online, just come off mute and ask it. If you're here in person, feel free to raise your hand. Or if you've got something to contribute, like, hey, I've done this. This is what worked for us. We're always happy for that.
Absolutely.
And then we'll have any chance to ask anything you want. We'll try to answer it. We can't always, but we do our best.
Absolutely. Okay, introduce yourself, sir.
So I'm Craig Jahnke. Started this user group. Me and Ralph actually started this in 2017. We've been running this user group for that long. We've always done it hybrid because we know people from the suburbs don't want to necessarily come into the city. We've occasionally been out to the Downers Grove office and done it from there. I'm with Microsoft. I've been on and off with Microsoft almost 5 years now, and consulting in between, or consulting for since 2013, and before that, just programming and other kind of stuff.
Ralph, yes, go ahead. Oh, it wasn't AI. It was.
No, before it was just getting started with Power Automate, actually, and some Power Apps, and then that was pretty much it. That was right when Power Platform started. Then we hit the pandemic, and
it was so funny because we were already hybrid before the pandemic.
So then we were doing.
So in fact, some of the ideas from the pandemic came from our user groups like ourselves. We were not the only ones that were doing this hybrid thing, somehow making teams work. And even then, people, the product managers from teams are like, you're doing what? The teams, what?
Yeah.
We were doing that. And actually, before that, you were SharePoint all the time. You were Mr. SharePoint.
Most of the time, I was SharePoint. Yeah.
SharePoint Saturdays is really what that was. That was.
Well, yeah, I've been doing user groups, running one. I did the SharePoint user group out in Elgin in 2010 through 2013, then stopped doing that for a little while, and been involved like .NET user groups. I was just going to them.
Same here, .NET side.
There used to be one of, I want to say RIA. It wasn't the name of the group, but what is it? Rich Internet Applications. So that was learning about Flash. Not Flash, Silverlight. So that was like a Silverlight user.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that was not good. So
give me some PTSD from that.
Yeah, so then we started Power Apps and Power Platform. Did a little, occasionally have a Power BI speaker. Then Power Virtual Agents came out. We added that in, and then that became Copilot.
Yeah, Copilot basically changed everything. It took over.
Yeah, now it's all Copilot all the time.
Yes, there we go. So Ralph Rivas, I'm with Sogeti. Now, oddly enough, how about when I first met Craig? He was with Sogeti.
That's right.
At the SharePoint Saturdays. I was with another company which has since been absorbed by yet another giant somewhere else. So that one's out of the way. In Sogeti, I'm in the cloud practice, so I was brought in as a cloud architect. Even though a lot of my expertise has been SharePoint and of course Power Platform and everything else, as I was brought in, my boss over there had the idea. It's like, well, hold on a second. What you're doing with the low code pieces that essentially my user group and everything else makes sense because that's where people are going to try to go to. They're going to make the most of what they can do before you have to bring in heavy coders and do all this cloud stuff. Perhaps you can do with the tools that we have in place. So that's where I became the practice leader for that one. So I became the practice leader, and that after all the years doing the Microsoft stuff, it turned out that was the catalyst to actually get my MVP in something of Microsoft. My MVP could have been in development. It could have been in SharePoint. Could have been any of these. but for whatever reason, it never stuck until with Capgemini Sagetti, I got noticed by the people at Microsoft that actually sell the stuff. Said, oh, you're the guy that sold for that? Yeah, you might be a good guy. Okay, thanks. Take my MVP, I'll take it. Right, so that's how essentially I came to that. So we were still using the user group, still there. I haven't given it up, even whatever accolades are going on. I still like to do this. I still like to give to the community. And I was, like I said, doing it before there was the accolades. It helps, which is great, right? And even you were an MVP for a little while as you got through. So,
All right, so
not too bad.
enough about us. Let's
Yes.
go around the room. John, do you want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself?
let's say hello. Since we have a few people here, let's say hello to people.
Who you are?
Specialties right now are AI. Been working all over. Pardon? No, so New York is social science, Argonne's basically science. And with social science, we do things like, there's a general social survey that runs all the time. That's our survey. We've been running it since about 1973. The company started in 1944. And it is, it's an affiliate of the University of Chicago. We've got about 3,200 employees across the company. We're a nonprofit, but we do massive amounts of social science research, such as, how many governments are there compared to how many gun they. It could be any number of things that we collect data on, education and health, everything from child welfare to aging populations.
All right, you're in Blumenthal, so you know, Mr. Blumenthal, right?
Yeah, you're-
Yeah.
We just want, for the record, though, just in case he's listening. We'll put in a good word for you if you came in. You hear that, Michael? Okay. Yes. Going back.
Well, since you were asking him questions, we'll go to you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's,
Very good.
and we'll jump up to
We'll jump over.
the next. Oh, you
We'll
can go. Okay. Awesome.
You came to the right place, sir.
I'm Ankit Shah. I used to be in senior management a couple of years ago, until I learned about how awesome Power Platform was becoming and whatnot. I quit my job. I took off for about 6 months trying to figure out what I want to do. A bunch of my friends, I don't know, Raz, out in UK.
Yes.
He reached out and said, Ankit, why don't you do this? Ralph and the group, they want this place or this user group, go check it out. That's when I was here the first time, and since then, I've gotten heavily into Power Platform AI. Matter of fact, I was just working on it. So I'm in a Copilot studio in a day, training tomorrow night for about 70 people in UAE. So,
Wow.
I'm fully invested at this point.
Great. So the Innovate program, the one that they have with the package content,
Because,
he's nuts.
multiple benefits to that. Of course, we get to give back to the community. We try to make sure that we reach out to every individual, but just gonna offer at least 15 to 20 minutes of one time to ask them questions. And then, of course, that drives a lot of needs for our business.
So a quick note, Alicia from the program, I'm not sure if you know who she is, from the Innovate program, they're looking for testimonials from the people giving the classes. Okay,
Yes.
just saying,
Yes, we're working.
some nice little, as they say, promo.
Yeah, so we are partners. I'm here, my partners in London, and 2 other partners are in Dubai. And so we're trying to figure out, get everybody together on the camera and do a one-minute feedback.
Great.
Testimonial.
Okie dokie.
I'll do online or not.
Let's see. Do we have a lot of folks online here?
We can do a quick, if you just want to say online, hi and where you're from, that'd be cool.
Yep.
I'm gonna go alphabetically as far as I can. Dennis, you're first on my list, if you want to say hi.
Yes, good evening. Dennis Hassan-Fang, dialing in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Aposhis. I'm a senior manager of AI solutions for Honigman, a Midwestern law firm.
Hi. Latanya.
I'm Latanya Blunt. I'm in the Atlanta area. I'm a collaboration technology services manager for Troutman Pepper Locke Law Firm.
Thanks for joining us. You've joined us before.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Skipping down Carolina. Carolina.
Carolina? You button not accessible.
Lastly, then we.
Oh,
Hello.
go ahead.
Sorry, I was mute. My name is Carolina. Carolina Munar. I am a program specialist currently doing a master in data science. I'm trying to learn a lot about automation.
Where are you from, Carolina?
I am originally from Colombia.
Very good.
Thanks for joining. And then I have a name, Nadirudin Khan.
Hello, hi all, good evening. My name is Nadir Khan. I'm dialing in from Sturtevant, Wisconsin. I'm currently a senior analyst, a part of SC Johnson and Son Inc.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thanks. That's it.
All right.
Raquel, Robert down at the bottom.
Oh, it was Robert. Let's go for Robert.
Yes, hey, good afternoon. I'm from Chicago. I am product marketing, and I will say that we're probably the least technical of all people in this room, I guess. But I'm very interested in Gen AI and especially agentic AI, which I'm sure that everybody agrees is the future. So I'm trying to gain some knowledge and learn something I didn't know before, which I'm sure will be plenty.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thanks. For people here, we have pizza if you would like.
Yeah, you can feel free to start serving since the food's here. Don't let it get cold. All right. So a bit of the logistics. And no one knows where the washrooms are, they're behind this area over here. There's washrooms. There's also a bar here. So if suddenly Ralph gets boring and you need a stiff one, you can actually go get one right down the street. Maybe we'll have one afterwards. A stiff one. That is. But that's potentially available. We do have water over here. Again, if you want something a little different, we can pick it up from the bar, but we'll do that later. Really quickly, just for the record over here, we basically show what we're doing. Sogeti's not exactly the sponsor here, but I am Sogeti. And in case you're wondering what I'm doing these days, this is what I'm mostly involved in, which is the Jumpstart program. We have a whole bunch of Jumpstart programs that are out there for AI. And this particular one is for Copilot itself, where we help in just basically in a few days through some workshops for the folks that are trying to get ready, trying to get going, trying to get that big boost to get their AI program going in. That's what our program's all about. So, by the way, we will make the slides available for folks for later on. We're not going to spend too much time here. I'm not really here to sell this, but there it is. Meanwhile, Craig's got the hubs out there. So we're here. The Chicago hub is the one that's close by. As you can see, there's so many all over the world, and the purpose of them. You can talk about them for a bit. Yes.
I'm a little bit closer to the microphone. Out of Chicago. So the way that the hubs work is we work to help our customers solution issues. So if you want to say it's a free service, but it comes with whatever you have. So if you have Microsoft product, we work with our salespeople, but we're one of the few parts of Microsoft that isn't really quota driven. So I don't care what you do. We're more happy helping you solve problems. I just happen to focus on modern work. But at Chicago, we have a Power Platform architect or Biz Apps or whatever it's called now. Me and him both work together. There is an AI specific architect, we have a security architect, and we have an Azure infrastructure architect. And what we will do is do like all day sessions with our customer where we just kind of help them actually wrap their heads around what their problems are and what they're trying to solve. It's a lot of times it's not even so much product focus as just, hey, how do we do it? And envisioning what they could do. And we like to have multiple sessions with them if we can. One, just kind of defining what the solution should be. And then two, doing more of an architectural design on, okay, now we know what the problem is. We know what we're trying to solve. Where does that fit? Is that power? Is that a power app? Is that a Copilot? Is it M365 Copilot? Do we got to go to Azure Foundry to do what you want? Or some kind of Azure solution? And then how do we like secure all that? And then we'll do hackathons and some prototyping and that kind of stuff. And from there, once we've kind of got a firm idea of what a solution should be, and then we would refer you to a partner or help
Hopefully.
you or try to find resources within Microsoft to help customers actually turn that into a full-fledged enterprise solution.
It's free Satya money. You can't give that up. That sounds great, actually. I think more people should take advantage of it.
Yeah, more people should. So if you're interested in that, then you would talk to your account executive and say, hey, how do we say it out?
It's like you're looking for ROI. There, it's sitting right there. All right. All right. So some quick notes. Yeah, we talked about logistics. We already covered it. Let's try to see if we can get the volume going over here. The pizza's in the back, the bathroom's in the back. There's a bar over there. If somebody, again, needs a stiff one, so just a really quick reminder of that. But let's just go ahead. And we're going to go straight to, we're not going to cover some news today because you're not here for the news. You're here to look at how to do some stuff with the agent. So I'm going to cover a few lecture-y type stuff first, and then we're going to go in and dive in to some actual real cases. So the concept, of course, is the idea is for the Copilot agents. All right, we always think right now, at least from Microsoft's perspective and a lot of our perspective, is that we're doing this for the business users. That we have ChatGPT, there's all kinds of like AI stuff for regular folks to use, and even Copilot, as we hear it, is just an app that you can get on the phone. You can just ask it questions, do things regular. It'll do sort of businessy stuff for you if you ask questions. But the difference is of these kind of agents is that these are built to work in your environment. So I'm here working, I have an M365 account and I'm doing stuff there. And if I'm using Copilot to get information or to make some happen, that's where it happens. That's where the agents occur. The concept of the agents for the business users is you're integrated into the productivity tools, into Excel, into Outlook, or just straight up whatever program that they decide to work on. It could be OneNote. Right, and they're specialized. There's some specialized agents that you get with that, unlike the regular commercial Copilot, which will give you some help. But some of these agents that they give you, if you pay for the license, are extremely powerful. And if you'd had to pay for them separately, say with a ChatGPT agent, you'd be paying up the nose for your tokens and everything else. Who here has an actually ChatGPT license? You're actually paying for that. It's like $20 a month or something. And like, do you run out of like resources sometimes that where you have to pay extra? The $20 has been pretty much okay. Okay. Aha. But that's in the Copilot side.
It is.
Okay.
We also use the deep research agent in the chat.
And yes.
And we also use Claude.
Good old Claude. I have a story about Claude in a little bit, but yes. Okay, great. All right. So sometimes the concept is like you're paying for all these services. They could be separate. It's like, should you pay all these separate pieces, or wouldn't it be nice if like you just went to one place to get it done? I think the idea, of course, Microsoft would hope that you come to the one-stop shop, but we know in reality people are going to go to where they're going to get their problem solved, which is fine. All right. And of course, the idea when it's built into the environment is it's much easier to collaborate. So if I did something, say in Teams, all right, and I'm using the Copilot for something and it's integrated into that, it's much easier to work with somebody else with that same information than copy paste. Go ahead. Can the information leave your premises? This depends on how things are set up. It could be set up where like it's only used here and any attempt to take it out somewhere else can be blocked. They call them the DLP powers. And this is not so much a Copilot thing. This has been there on M365 out of the box. If you were like, for example, you got an email and you want to copy something or put it into a browser, it will look and says, well, you can look at it. You can't take a picture of it. You can't save it. You can't do anything. Well, Copilot, if you use Copilot to do it, Copilot is going to do what you could do. And if you can't do it, Copilot will not do it or will not let you do it. That's the cool thing. Oh, that's the other thing. So if I'm using like a ChatGPT that's not connected to the enterprise, it doesn't care about the rules. It's doing, hey, you told me to do this. I'm doing it just as you told me. Now, then you would hope that the DLP that's built into Microsoft will say, oh, you're trying to copy that into something else that just happens to be ChatGPT. I'm going to block you. So I didn't know you were doing it for AI purposes. All I know is you're taking data and making that happen. That's a good question, actually. So there's the idea. The idea is, again, to make it go. And first, we have to understand. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You want to go back a bit? Let's go back. Going back, previous.
So what makes Copilot a little different from like a ChatGPT is Copilot, we work with OpenAI, so it's really changed. Coverage for now.
Under the covers.
But it is a copy of the latest model that goes into your tenant. So as you're asking, it's just running it through the model. It's not training. If it's once it's used, it's not. Some people will tell you it's gone away, but it's not true because there's some like log boxes. Things that it stores so that you can read it. So it's not, but it doesn't train the model. Whereas, like actually, you can see if you go and ask the question, that's leaving, or leaving the boundaries. That is one of the big downsides of using something like ChatGPT or Claude is what you ask it could still be training their analysis. Okay? If you have something like your organization, you know, proprietary information, people are asking questions based on documents in there, they're actually helping train the model. That could show up some of the answers.
That's huge. That's a huge thing to itself right there. So in Copilot, it won't. That won't happen. The same concept of is if you can't see it, you can't do it. It's not because somebody used it somewhere will it get used. Copilot actually has some other built-in controls. An example of setting up Copilot properly is they tell you before you start, before you get going, perhaps you should be doing some of the best practices they've been mentioning for the longest time, which is like classifying your data. When you set up classifications, it will respect that. If you don't set it up at all, Copilot's default will say, and this, in fact, I tried this out. Okay, somebody shared with me a PDF, so I have his PDF, and I just put it in my OneDrive, and I tried to share it, and then it said, I won't let you do it. Yeah, but I own it. I have the document. It's mine. I said, yes, but it's not classified, and I looked at the document. It looks like somebody else owns it. I will not give it to you. Copilot actually denied me. So I had to go in and classify it or copy it out and create my own document out of it before it would even consider using it. Oh, and then it stopped because it had some personal information in there. It said, well, you're trying to use this for this kind of purpose. I will not do that. It's called responsible AI. Actually, another topic for another day. But just consider that the Microsoft pieces, when they're using their LLM for everything else, on the surface, it has all of these guards that you don't necessarily get when you're using a direct LLM or your own homegrown pieces of that. You have to build in those. When there's instructions that said, if you're going to build your LLM, here's all the things you should do to be responsible and good. Well, yeah, if you're building it custom, sure. And if you don't, well, no one's going to stop you. It's your own thing. It's like building your own program. Microsoft says you're going to use it through us. We're going to do all that plumbing for you so that you don't have to worry so much and you won't hopefully lose sleep about the pieces going through.
Two different things.
Yes.
You're talking about data loss prevention that's built into how you configure your system.
Yes, that's one part.
And then he's talking about enterprise data protection, which is if you're part of your company, then none of the engines, none of the AI is going to actually train off of your data.
As far as the training goes, to be sure, Copilot does not train at all. It's not meant to be trained.
It's already trained.
Yes. Good. Copilot chat, not in the enterprise.
There is some responsibility. I got asked you to do, we have a page, but if I ask you to, say I feed it 2 copies of the resume and say, tell me who I should hire, it will spit back an answer like you're asking me to form a evaluation. We don't get comfortable doing that. But you could do it. You could get around it by saying, hey, summarize this. Give me. But ChatGPT, if you're using something like Outlook email, not ChatGPT, Copilot, and you're just going to the freeware and you're using your Outlook email, that would train. So that would be the exact same, almost the exact same.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that nobody was confused on.
Yes, that's actually good. It's good to bring that up because there is that distinction. The biggest thing that people have been worried about from the very beginning for this was like, are you using my data for your purposes to become smarter? That was number one. The second one was like, well, once I open this up, is it like Delve? Remember Delve back in the days? Anyone remember that? When like all of a sudden you opened it up and you saw the spreadsheet your boss was keeping on you because he forgot he put it in the SharePoint site that was shared. So same thing. I remember I did that demo and my boss was upset because he saw his spreadsheet. Why is my spreadsheet on your thing? And he got mad at me. I'm like, did you put it in the SharePoint site? Same thing, but at least though the interesting thing was in Copilot will probably not let that reveal on the purpose of the responsible AI making that work. But we again, the experiences can vary going through that, and they're changing. Shall I move on? Okay, let's continue. The first thing for a lot of people to understand the idea is now we're calling this agents. This thing has gone through a metamorphosis of what do we call it? It's an AI. It's a bot. It's a chat and a chat bot or something else. And now there's this concept of what's called the AI agent. So we know we've heard of the digital assistants. We have Alexa and all those guys that were doing it. Is Alexa an agent? Is Siri an agent or are these things? They're not really. The agent actually understands and actually performs tasks and interacts with you. So the agent has essentially extra powers going in. When there's 3 kinds, right? Conversational. It can do talking. This is the normal thing everyone expects to do to bots, right? And then the idea, of course, now is that it's going to take the brains on one end and then add real-time knowledge and bring that in. At that point, though, you can now connect it to do things. That's the idea of the agent. The concept of an agent is like, not only am I going to help you with information, but maybe I'm going to help you to do something with that information, perhaps create a PowerPoint presentation for you, create a mail, look up something or do something in the back. And that's the idea as we go along. All right. So, and the idea, of course, a lot of these, we have some agents that are sort of built in for a lot of these Microsoft apps. The concept is that these agents, especially when you have Copilot, the licensing turned on, is you're able to see this now in a lot of places. Sometimes they're using Copilot, or rather they're using AI in the background, and you have no idea. It's part of it. It's part of the process. Some of these pieces that are in there, especially for the analyst systems over here. But the idea, again, is to be able to have them all integrated so you can actually connect with them. And then at that point, the next step, which I'm going to show over here today, is after you can do things out of the box. And we're going to show you how you can do stuff out of the box and get a lot of value out of it. You were talking about the researcher agent as an example. Is that the tool in the Power Platform world is Copilot Studio, to go ahead and it's basically 80% of the way in to do your own versions of things and to go beyond is through Copilot Studio. whether or not you actually use Copilot Studio under the covers, it is Copilot Studio that's going to be managing the agents, at least as far as the Microsoft app is concerned. All right, of course, advanced scenarios, and I have some best practice over here we can save for later, but and I'll actually show some of those in a little bit. The concept, though, sometimes when people start looking at this, there's two aspects: personal productivity. I just want to help myself or the few people around me, versus someone wants to try to do something enterprise. Like, well, Copilot's not good because I want to do this particular. I want to solve this problem. Well, that's an enterprise problem. Perhaps Copilot is not the appropriate tool for that. Maybe it'll help parts of the process, but what you're probably looking for is a solution that perhaps needs AI, but needs it in a different level. So it's something that you would build in Azure. You might use Copilot Studio to create an enterprise thing, maybe something that handles maybe customer service requests and everything else, but that would not really be appropriate at the enterprise level. You need something that's enterprise powered, that's AI Foundry and some of these other systems that they suggest to use. All right, so we'll dive in. Let's go take a look at some of these things that we can do. So it all begins, and has anyone ever tried to go back to office.com? That was my favorite place. That was my where I lived, where I started my day. Well, office.com now is essentially M365 Cloud at Microsoft is the chat system. There are several things that I want to point out over here in the interface. Now, what you're looking at is if you have a Copilot license, this is what you see. If you don't have a Copilot license, you'll still see some of these. Some things that you may not see if you don't have a Copilot license. You may not see agents at all. All right, for some people without it. Or if you have, so if you don't have it, you may not see agents. Some people might, because there are certain agents that they will allow people to use and create for themselves. For the free version of Copilot. I'm going to call it the free version. It's the one that everyone appears to be able to get now with their licensing that they get. Okay, but otherwise, though, when you have the full license, you have the full powers of whatever is turned on. That's essentially premium, and we are going to see what some of those look like. So you'll have agents that are built, that are ready to go, that are as is, and then you can make your own agents. And this is the concept over here on this side. We starting from the main chat, where you can just chat and talk to the original chat system, the agents that you can use that exist, or create your own agents over here. And what's great is now it keeps conversations. So everything that you've talked to, and this includes to the agents that you made, you can actually go back and continue on a class. So say you did something, you spent like half an hour conversing and coming up with stuff, and you wanted to go back to that and now go further. You come back to the conversations to go. So this is actually very useful. Actually, what's very good about the conversations, I'm going to give you a tip. Here's another tip. You want to make your own agent to do something, and you just use chat to build this whole thing that, like, you know what, that'd be cool if that was an agent. Go back to the conversation and look at the pieces and the prompts that you use, and then get that information and tell the agent, hey, all of these questions I asked, and I'm going to give you a sample prompt, make me an instruction for an agent that would accomplish all of this in one shot. And then it would give you a nice little thing, and then say, I want it to fit in 4,000 characters. Go ahead. And next thing you know, you copy that into create an agent, and we'll see that in a little bit over here. Then they have the concept of pages. And I don't think I have any pages over here at the moment. Well, pages is when you're actually working and collaborating. You want to, I can't share a conversation with somebody directly. A page is where I would actually share that actual conversation with someone, so they can go ahead and pick it up and go ahead and work on whatever material that we're working on, and it could include output and everything else. Not so important for what we're doing today over here. But here's the idea. The idea, of course, is to be able to create our own agent. So we're going to do that right now. Well, actually, let me show you some things on the other side over here. If you have a Copilot license, this is another thing you'll see. You'll see either work or web. What's important about this? When you use web, you're actually talking to the outside, being behind the covers or whatever it needs to get that information. If you try to do something where you ask it, hey, I want to align this with my work piece or whatever it is you're going to do, it's going to tell you no. Why would we have web? Well, I want to get information that might be blocked in work. When I'm doing work, it's not going to let me do certain things in a certain way. When I go on web, it'll let me do those things, but it won't let me interoperate with the stuff I have to work with. In fact, the web might say, oh, you're trying to work with your data, with your Outlook. You may want to go to the other side and work from it from there. Or if you don't have the license, it'll say you can't, just can't. And you have essentially your place to call. It gives you some suggestions for everything else. Let's see over here. Yeah, Craig, you know what's missing from here? It's the choice of, like, right now I only have ChatGPT. Was there another choice that was up here? Do you recall? No, not yet. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of something that's coming up. Right now, if you're wondering, what model is it using? It's using behind the scenes that GPT-4 model. But guess what they got now? Try GPT-5. And when you turn this on, there's some more information that you can follow up on. But you might find in your Copilot app, there's the Copilot app on the phone. There's actually a drop down that says use the regular chat, do deep reasoning. Those are the choices. And what it's doing is it's opening up GPT-5. The GPT-5, super powerful, does reasoning, and actually under the covers behind you, you don't know what it's, you don't care what it's doing in the back, but it's doing multi-models and actually taking care of things in a bigger way. And the first thing I usually do for folks is I show what it does when GPT-5 is on or it's off. So here's usually the first thing. So I'll ask for something. That's like, I can say, I need a presentation that shows the latest news for our platform that is current within the last month. Okay, I'm just going to ask that question. Let me copy it so I can do it. Let's see what it does without. All right, it's thinking. Latest Power Platform news.
I want to make sure that I'm not pulling anything that's in the
It's in my work stuff. Yes.
So, I was going to reprint it somewhere. I want to make sure I don't pull anything. So I would make sure. But if I wanted to do something that was internal, then I would probably use work because I want to make sure I'm getting everything.
All right, so here it is. It's giving us information and some of the features in the Microsoft in the Microsoft side. This includes the agents that you make through here. Is things like showing the references when it gets information from the server, showing where it's from, gives you the concept of whether you like it or not, the way to copy it, and the way to handle things another way. Let's go ahead and I'm going to click on Try GPT-5 and let's see what it does with the same exact prompt. Let's see what might be different. Yes.
So if you did side,
Yes.
you have some settings in there that you can block the web search along with. Correct?
Yes. So web searches, yes, that's true. In the enterprise will be rules about what it can do for the web. That's in the Copilot settings. The same thing with like certain SharePoint sites, what could be blocked. And that has nothing to do so much with Copilot as much as the enterprise settings for what is allowed to go in or out. And I'm seeing over here, it did something different with the information. And sure enough, and maybe it's different because I've asked a different thing, but it went faster for one thing. And now it's asking for a page summary. It's got some of the same resources that are going through. All right, maybe not so much. Let's go ahead and I'm going to select work. I'm going to put in the same information. And here's the thing though. And maybe I should take this information. Maybe I'm not going to, maybe I shouldn't show it, but here's the concept. If I did this inside the work, and let's say in my work, I had like a set of slides that I was creating about the latest Power Platform news that was for their internal, for my partners and everything else. It would now look at that information. So it may include, maybe there's some discussions on new features or partner only features that are not in the public domain. That would show up, would show up as part of this potentially. All right, not going to go through that right now because this particular tenant is super new, so it wouldn't have that info. But
we'll say that sometimes if I'm researching for something that and I ask it a question, sometimes my notes or other PowerPoint presentations I've done gets pulled in a preference, and I don't necessarily watch that because I don't know if it's good stuff, but just fun stuff that you get, or if I've demoed it for something like, let's say, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I'm doing, like I did a financial analysis. I was using Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then another customer asking the same question, well, it could pull off that. I don't care. Stuff.
So that's going to start small. You need to open up the application. Only what you have access.
What I have access.
Yeah, if it's open.
If it's open, it could. Yeah, it prioritizes it, so it will look at my stuff first before it starts searching. But yeah, it can pull. And then that's going back to the problem. You want to make sure that you have governance around what you're doing, and that's so it's been an age-old problem. SharePoint, right? It just becomes, it's not pulling up anything that you couldn't have searched already, but more the conversational approach and the fact that it wants to help you really expose it. Now you can go into settings, like you said, and say, like, if you have a full SharePoint site or two, might be that you're executive and you don't want to take a chance, you can block that for you.
Right, it would say currently a PowerShell setting that would actually block the site, and you can actually upload a list of all the sites that you want blocked and undo.
Or you can apply a sensitivity.
Then yes, the other way of getting at it. Yes.
Those would be more.
But it can be.
All right. Let's take a look at one of these agents. So before we build one, as they say, see what's available and see, because they're usually pretty good on their own. The research one is actually pretty interesting. And notice it says here, it works across chat and Teams, which means that I can't open up this agent inside of, if I have, even with my license, I open up Word and I can actually choose agents from there and that won't show up. All right. According to this, I can open up chat and Teams and it'll work. I open up Outlook, I may not see it, but there's agents that can cross the boundaries. Right now, most of them will either work only in chat or Teams, or they're going to work across the board. But most of them are this particular feature over here. So let's go ahead and open up the researcher agent just to see that one in action really fast. And as you can see, it's generic looking. Nothing to see over here, but let's see how it actually works. This is very interesting to see what it does, because when you create an agent, it could do the same thing when you include the little term that says deep reasoning. In this particular case, I want to make a thesis for my master's on best practices. Actually, I have a run on this, but then I'm going to do something small. Best practice is for low code development. Just look for academic material that can help me get started. All right, I'm gonna put this out. And let's see what it does. I just wanted to point out some important things that it does as it's going along. The one thing that even the GPT-5 will do this, that GPT-4 I have not seen do this. And that is the concept of like walking you through and asking you questions, essentially helping you build it. I'm going to say, oh, look, it says, do I want to have focus on an industry, include platform comparisons? I said, go ahead, use your best judgment. Use your best judgment. Doesn't have famous last words. What's your name? Skynet. Yes, use your best judgment. All right, here we go. This is some of the most important things about these particular types of agents. And if you build an agent, these will begin to do these as well. It starts beginning the research, and as you can see, it's actually walking you through what it's doing, how it's thinking. And sometimes it comes quickly, sometimes it can take a long time. In fact, sometimes it gets into the point where like it takes so long that it'll stop you and say, hey, it's taken me like 10, 15 minutes to go. Do you still want me to continue? And I just say yes, because I don't care who's paying for me. It turns out under the covers, if I had to do this somewhere else, this is like tokens being chewed up like nothing. And I know this for a fact because when I made one of these in Azure and I tried to just make a basic research for it, I ran out of my Azure credits like 5 minutes in. Gone. It was out. So let's just say I can't do this in Azure. Here I am in a dev tenant and I'm letting it play on its own. And I like the fact that it's basically telling me what it's doing. It's giving me the idea. This is the thing. If you're able to build agents at a custom level, this is a great capability to give back to your users to show what's going on. All right. Now, but again, if we're just wanting to use an agent for ourselves, for our business, if you think about this research tool by itself, I want to put together something that I need to present to the group or I need to sell this. I want to be able to sell the concept of using AI more often in work. I need to deep research the idea of in my industry, in my particular case, where people have succeeded and what are the things that made it fail. Give me the full thing. Yes. Was it? Oh, for coding. Absolutely. Oh, so this is interesting. Actually, so this is fresh for me because this is exactly what I've been doing. There's two things. People said there's GitHub Copilot. You might have heard of that. GitHub Copilot. There's other things like Claude and other systems, Cursor, that actually do code where you can actually, in an agentic fashion, they call it, build an entire app from scratch with all the code, all the Terraform, all of the pieces to build. And so, yes. It's funny that when I go into this thing and I wanted to do the same thing, the only thing it will not do is actually open up the app and build it. It will create all the code for me in beautiful code format. I have to do one extra step, copy, paste.
So the ChatGPT.
Yes, so that's right. So actually, so this one also there's a code check, there's a box, but you have to turn on Copilot Studio. There's a box that says code, right? When you say create code, so it'll create code, it'll create the files. You can download, you don't necessarily copy paste. You can say, create the files for me or create a zip. I had this create a Power Platform flow and it gave me a zip to download. And I opened it and it was like, hey, it seems to work. It's basic, but it seemed to work. I did the same instruction in GitHub Copilot where I selected Claude as the underlying engine, and it gave me a much better version of it that actually was much more complete. So to be sure, it's going to use its whatever LLM that it has to attempt to build it. And it turns out the GPT-5 is pretty good compared to the 4 when it comes to this. And under the covers, if you're using Copilot Studio to do anything that does code, it does what's called the mini. It's a mini GPT. When you put on the code thing and it does the code interpretation, it goes out of its way. I'm not using this LLM. I'm going to use this LLM whose specialty is doing code. All right. But the idea is like, if we have to tell it what to do code, that's like, that's work. And that's how we used to do it. But now a lot of that's automatic. It says, oh, you need to do code. I'm just going to go here to this guy to put it together. So that's actually important as it's going through. All right, so it's going through and doing these sessions over here. So while it's doing that, yes. Yes. It's not, it's a different animal than what the Copilot agentic mode is all about. And that's more, it's a different, basically at a different level.
So the difference between GitHub Copilot is it's going to give you like the code. GitHub Spark is like you put in. Yeah, GitHub Spark is going to allow you to put in what kind of application you want to write, and then it will create the application for you.
It goes through the whole pieces in one shot. Otherwise, in agentic mode, you have to walk it through.
So it doesn't really think about your brain as well. You can put the code in the files. Yeah. All you need is basically yeah. And then your team will request as much scratch. Right. So it gives you some place to start with, and then you can go in and do it.
So I created this one with GitHub Copilot recently, When somebody, all they did was they gave me an app. They gave me a picture of an app. And I'll show you the resources right over here that I did. All right. Stand by. It's a bit of a detour over here. Let me go and date modified and find those latest files over here. So they gave me this. They gave me an inventory table of files, basically just a SQL script is all I did, right? You see the SQL script, stand by. And they gave me also a picture. Come on, let's see this picture. And here's a picture. I can show it because it doesn't seem to give out any kind of information. So here's the app. And that's the data that calls the app and everything else. So I got this information, got what they wanted, and I told it to build an app. And in short order, as in, it took about an hour of going back and forth on my GitHub Copilot talking to it. It created all of this code in React because they said they wanted the React app. Okay, so that was easy. And it created all this code right over here. Every time it ran into errors, and I would get errors from time to time, and I told it, hey, resolve it, go do this, go do that, and it would go ahead and build it and run it to the point where, like, now at the end of this, it created. So let me see if I can do that from here. Please. I'm in the agent mode, and I'm going to say, please run the app. Because I'm too lazy to go to the command line to actually do it. It's going to actually do it right over here. Stand by, working. While I'm waiting for the other guy to show up. Let's find out if he showed up, by the way. He's still, oh, by the way, look at that. He's still doing his thing. Assessing market dynamics and everything else. Let's let him go. He's really going to town.
It's deep research.
That's a deep research, exactly. Oh, look at this. So it used 6 references of all the information that I put in so far. It's looking at making sure there's no changes. So start to React, and I say continue. Look, NPM, look, it's doing NPM start, which is the way you start a React app. Can't see it too well over here, but it's down here in the terminal. There we go. All right, so it should have started. Come on, where'd it go? On the PowerShell, unless it says here, oh, I forgot. All right, it wants me to manually run it. So sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it'll run things on its own and go ahead and start. And sometimes it's like, you know what, I want you to start it. So I can go ahead and copy that and go into my chat. There we go. Oops, Control Z. Let me hit enter here for a moment. There we go, NPM start. Starting, I should get a web page to show up in a moment. Oh, yeah, I might have it already running. I'll just say yes. Okay, it's going to try to run it. Going to do it on 3001 because I already have 3000, and here's the app coming up. And there's the app. I told it make it Excel-like so that it can do like sorting, so I can add, include files. These are all the little things I did to it, you know, where I could select something. I tried to also ask it, what kind of app do you think this is? And it gave me some ideas of what it thought it was, because we weren't told what it was. And then one of the things that the Copilot told me was like, this might be something for Boy Scouts, because it looked like Boy Scout names. I was like, that was very interesting. I thought that was cute. But anyways, let's go back to the original app. Let's see if he's done. Oh, actually, he's right here. He's still looking. All right, so we're going to leave him for a moment over here since he's all busy. And let's go get another instance of him while he's thinking. And that should have wiped me out, right? Credit-wise, it seems like it would have like really hit really hard for whatever it's doing. But I'm going to let it go. And I'm just going to create an agent over here. is the next thing I want to show. Here's how what agents, something we can do right away. If we want to be very productive right away without going into Copilot Studio, we can do this, create an agent. This is one way. And we're going to show that as it's coming in. While I'm waiting for that screen to refresh, I'm also going to go to SharePoint. One second. I had SharePoint up. I'm just wondering why it's taking a long time to go in and sign in. Let's go. And he's still trying to come up.
Still, yes.
Meanwhile, he's still thinking. I'm waiting for him to come up, and I'm waiting for SharePoint to show. So the concept over here in the case of SharePoint, and I'm going to go right away to Contoso IT so you can see this stuff work, is that in SharePoint now, if you have a Copilot license, you have the concept of making agents right off the bat from here. Look at this. You can create a new page with AI. This is in preview mode. This is very, very powerful. Really great. But I'm going to just show here with agent. Creating an agent. It's going to be based on these resources. I can edit it or just open the agent. The agent's ready to go instantly. Let me go edit this agent and show you some of the pieces that are going to go in. I'm showing this now because you're going to see some of these things also when we're creating that particular agent. What's different? A SharePoint agent is actually a file, a .agent file, which you can edit in Copilot Studio that is tied to essentially SharePoint resources by default. And as you can see, I can add other information though. So here it is. I can put my purpose in. And a lot of this is great for like quick playbooks for business, where in SharePoint is the resource, master resource, whatever you're doing. So I can keep adding more SharePoint sites. Right now I'm resourcing the entire site. And here, look at this feature. This is what I wanted to show you in particular. All right, is the so-called the behaviors. I can have starter prompts and I can have agent instructions and what it does. What's noticeably not here? What's noticeably not here are some capabilities like, say, create code, make an image, essentially some of these other agent capabilities that are on the main thing that you can't do. This is purely for creating essentially your agent to help you get information. And that being said, I'm going to say, I'm not going to save it. Let's go to one of these sites. When you want to use your own agent, when you want to like save yourself a lot of prompting. All right, I could just go prompt my way to Nirvana and then keep prompting until I get what I want. But if I find a pattern that works all the time, and they're calling it a playbook, why not just make an agent with all of those instructions just simply listed out and ready to go, right? That would be the concept of making your own agent, at least on the SharePoint side as well as the M365 side. And I'm still waiting for this chat to get going. There we go.
Specific targeted set. I want to look at just this. Here's a question before. Yeah, I just want to look at this SharePoint set. I don't want to get back.
Now, can that be like collection of SharePoint sites? So when I say all of my proposals SharePoint sites, they are all these different site collections. Can I say, because they got the same content type, and I filter it down my content type?
You do multiple.
I probably do multiple sites, right?
You could do multiple, so you have sites in the page.
I can use the content type as my filter capability.
Could, but that would be more. So when you're going, there's a couple of things. When you're doing, we said designated the distance per. So
Because
you didn't want to, you don't have to put it in.
it's like 5,400 proposals.
Right. So for that, you would say you would do more of it. That's in your content. So I want to look for documents that I had. Got this method.
How do you guys classify them by division? Those, all those 5,000 SharePoint sites, be classified them by division or some sort of classification?
We use site content types in order to classify sites regarding. So we've got a search built up in our SharePoint environment to be able to filter down by that search and provide the results off of that. But one of the questions I have about agents is, where's the governance part come into this? Because we are treating agents more as you're building an app. How are you managing it?
The governance part is in the monitoring tools, definitely in the admin screens. You can see all the agents that are made, who's got them, what they're doing.
But that's.
It is after the fact. That's the big issues. Like the big issues, like letting people just willy-nilly create agents.
That all environments could have evaluated for what's happening and publish it so that any. If I was going to publish it, I was going to use it. But I thought, hey, you got a development environment. We're going to put it in here. We're going to get you another environment to test. So test it and make sure you get it. I can do it. So that needs to be more into the code. So that's.
You have as much control as you wish to have is the issue. And the problem I guess people wanted was like,
Give people the ability to create agents. Yeah.
right,
Like if they want to go in and just create.
like a baby agent here, like this, in this example.
Mostly doing is creating agents that wherever it's. Right, so. That it's tricky, but really they're just getting sure.
And if they add the agent to the SharePoint side, that doesn't require, it's good to do that.
Yeah. So they can create a SharePoint, but again, that's more. The SharePoint agent, it's part of. That is true, but it's Copilot, so. That's the. But if I was doing, so I would be more concerned about agents that I was creating that was actually like, hey, we've got this coming, or this comes in, one, this one, that's what.
I think if you do scheduled agents, because then you get, so.
How would you do a scheduled agent versus doing a power on the flow?
So something that I've seen, and it's wrong. It is like what's popular. I guess a lot of people. Yeah, that's the implementing technology. Every schedule agents, like you come in every month, every Monday and say, hey, go through what the next. That's an 8. That's a for is an artist. You might first
Where does it go? Does it go in your mailbox, or does it go outside your organization by chance? That's the other question.
Yeah.
So in ChatGPT, I get a daily email of an agent that I created that goes out and sends me a list of all the AI content news that's out on the internet over the past 24 hours.
Right.
So theoretically,
Oh.
That's where the government.
Now I am now more interested in it, so, that's beyond what Paul. I could day.
Got it.
Not a bad day, let's say, but tomorrow and Friday.
You'll have more better answers.
Well, I'm specifically working on documenting that.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay.
but I need,
As soon as you're ready here, we'll finish up the last two pieces on the agents. All right.
Hey Ralph, sorry to cut you off. Would you mind sharing your presenting your screen so we can kind of look at it on our end if we're
Am I sharing?
It's quite a
Am I
bit
not
of,
sharing anymore?
No, yeah, I'm unable to view your screen. I
Okay,
can
let's
see
the sharing stop. Let's go figure it out.
No,
What happened.
we can see your screen.
You see my screen?
Yes.
yeah, I can see the meeting room. I can't specifically see the screen. I have to really zoom
the
in
meeting
to see the
room.
board.
That's the video. Maybe we can let's not focus on the video. We can watch the screen, hopefully. What I was doing, by the way, while Craig was talking, is I was just building an agent by just describing it. And as you can see, I said, give me a recruiting agent. I just gave it to some basic tips as I went through. I could try it out as is, or I could configure it further. And I wanted to go and point out, when we're making an agent, here's some important aspects. The instructions are key. This is the playbook. This is what I'm finding out, that if you have an IP knowledge of like your best, I'm the best recruiter in the world, I'm the best programmer in the world, or whatever, well, those instructions essentially represent the information that makes your agent sing or not sing, the knowledge sources it connects to. And again, not all knowledge sources will be allowed. Some enterprises will block certain knowledge sources, or it can block all external knowledge completely. It'll say, you can actually put those here via URLs. But take a look at this. Prioritize the knowledge sources you add. And say, you know what? Prioritize what I add, not, for example, what it's in there. I can't exactly select that, as opposed to just setting it up. So this is one of the important settings that we tend to do. But here's the capabilities. Remember in the SharePoint one, I showed you what that would look like. It doesn't have this code interpreter. I can actually get the code stuff going. Code interpreter, by the way, I turn on when I wanted to create like specialized files, like a Dreamio IO or something like that. Image generator to make like images, and then the suggested prompts would be next. At that point, though, these are all of the pieces to the agent that goes forward. So now we're saying with this, I could probably do a lot. What is it not doing? I can't make it like create a file for me or anything like that. It might try, because it's going to use the GPTs, or rather the Copilot powers to be able to do things. But I can't make that happen. I can't automate any further. So this is not an automation. This is just an agent that's going as far as getting all information you need and using what's underneath the covers, which is the Copilot itself, to do everything else. After that, I would have to actually go into Copilot Studio. And I was going to show that next. All right, really quickly. So for example, I created this particular agent in Copilot Studio, the tech support agent, where it does a lot of this information, all right, to diagnose the network, and as you can see, I have other pieces over here, maybe guide and password management and everything else. It's pretty good. It actually follows a lot of powers. So let me go and find the Copilot Studio piece. Where did it go? Here it is. All right. This is the help desk agent. So let me show you the parts of a Copilot Studio piece. Copilot Studio goes a little bit further, right? So we have over here in Copilot Studio, you have the concept of the overview, which is like showing everything. You have the concept of knowledge. You have the concept of tools, which could be additional agents or other pieces. You can have agents that call upon agents. You can create an agent that's usable from another agent. This is powerful. You cannot do that with the regular agents. You can say the original concept of the chatbot was you set up a topic and then you can guide a conversation to make sure you get something done more specifically. Otherwise, you just simply let the generative side of things, decide what to do. And that can sometimes not always work. Remember, it doesn't always act the same ways. If you really want to point someone down a path, say, for example, they want to order something, you shouldn't have to. There's only one way to order. Why should I let the agent decide, well, maybe you can just send me an email? So no, this is the way to do an order, and we'll have a topic to deal with that. You have a place to see the activity, to see how the agent works. There's, of course, analytics, and then channels where you can put it in. So let's take a look at some of these pieces over here. The first one, use generative AI to how best to respond to users. This is the first thing that I usually enable. Instead of me having to write topics or do all of these kind of things that I used to do before, I will tell it, just let the Gen AI do it. This has been, by the way, upgraded power-wise to GPT-5. That's something I do know about it. But as you can see, the response model itself, by default, even though the orchestration is like behind the scenes using GPT-5, but it's this, the response model, as in what information am I going to use to answer or deal with your questions, would be this. And let's go into edit over here. Let's see what choices we have. Here are the models that we have currently available by default. There are other options, and you can, and eventually there's going to be a lot more to choose from on this particular area. So as you can see, we even have a choice of being able to use retired models or not, all right, to be able to choose it. So that's some of the pieces that we see over there. Let me go back to my settings. Don't leave. Let me go back to the home. Yes, one moment, please. There's two concepts, of course. They have like ready to go agents that you can make with templates, but I'm just using one that I created from scratch over here. So let's go ahead and look at our overview again. As you can see, analytics when it's been run, but here's the key over here is in instructions. And as you can see in the instructions is something I can't do in regular agents. I can add other kinds of like reusable components, the low code piece of this. For example, I have a list of available devices that one of my topics is gathering. One of my tools are gathering, so I can use that as my information, requesting device type. I can call up a topic and everything else. That's what's really cool. So I can actually add topics in here. I can go and I can really go to town on the knowledge sources. And then I could say over here, if I want my agent to use public resources. So why would you have an agent that you'd have to control? What if you don't want, say you're doing HR information. You don't want an HR app to use public resources. Definitely, this is a tip. Turn that off, because if it's going to use HR resources, it wants to use company policies, not what somebody in the internet thought was a good idea for HR. Definitely not want to get that in there. So that's the idea of the web search over here. In the tools over here, and let's go over here and see these tools. The concept is I could create additional pieces that go into details. Like, for example, in this case, here's a tool. All it's going to do is just send an email somewhere else there. So the tool is the idea of like taking the agent and actually doing something else. And it could be another prompt to another agent, or it could be just a straight up prompt to do something in a smaller case, or it could be I want to do something in Outlook or anything else. It can be that as well. So let's go ahead back there for a moment. And just to give you an idea, if I add a tool, what the tools look like. Let's see what that looks like really quick. They are actually the connectors and have some suggestions. I could make a new tool on my own, but it gives me all kinds of stuff that I can do over here. And the idea is I can look at connectors. I could make a prompt. I can make a flow. And now they have model context protocol, which is not our subject today. That's way more advanced. So the concept, though, is I can really go to town on these tools. Let's go back to the overview. So we took knowledge and tools. Yes, question? Yes. Absolutely. And that's essentially what's happening over here. And you'll see that in just a moment. Here's the concept is your agent can also be leveraged. I make an agent that does this support. I just made it. I could make this agent also handle support tickets, for example. I can create a trigger. The trigger is somebody added something to a SharePoint site, maybe a request for something new. And that trigger is now controlled over here. It comes in, this agent not only knows how to respond to chat, but it says, hey, someone's asking for a ticket. I've just been kicked off. Now I will go ahead and take care of that person. behind the scenes. I don't have to do anything to do anything. It's like the agent is literally autonomous. That's really a great power for the agent. And of course, you can start adding other agents and make this agent available. The topics you've seen over here, other things like the prompts, suggested prompts. These are the common pieces that go in here. Let me break it down again into some of these areas. So let's go take a look at that particular topic and the concept of the topics. So I wanted, for example, to request a device. And remember, we set up the trigger to be able to do that. So the trigger says, I'm going to go to this device. And just so you know, this is the low-code way of requesting a device. As you can see, there's all kinds of powers like adaptive cards to let a person select or try things out, right? And the concept, of course, is not going to be over here, is building and following through how this all works. How do you actually do this? We're going to give you some links so that you yourself can learn how to do this in short order. All right, but that's the idea now, why the agent has to be so powerful. So our agent now is dealing with so many different ways of doing things. So why would I have a custom agent? This is exactly why. If I went to just M365 chat and said, I want to have a machine, it will tell you, well, yeah, great. And I happen to know that there's an ordering system. You can go use that. I can't control that agent. But if I built it here and then posted that agent now to the chat, like over here, and it becomes something that everyone can use, and I can maybe use it in Teams, for example. I can go to, oh yeah, so let's go see this. This was deployed into Teams, so I'm going to go to Teams, Microsoft.com. Hey, come on, let me do this where it happened. And we're going to be finishing here in just a second. So just so you know, when you're deploying things out and you're publishing the agents, by the way, those agents we saw in the M365 chat will show up only in chat. They're not really going to be anywhere else. If you use Copilot Studio to create them and build them, and there's other things you can use. There are other tools you can build with. But if you use Copilot Studio to build them and then you tell it to go to a team, to be usable in Teams, it's going to show up right over here. So here's Teams, right? And as you can see, Teams is, look, it's showing, is it showing really? It's showing the chat over here as well, because I have chat selected. We usually see Teams like this, right? Activity and unread and Teams and everything else. But now in Teams is chat. Chat's available. Yeah, I got it. Right. And if you click on Copilot, I got it. Come on. This means that I can use it in Teams as part of my help. So for example, these are the items, these are all available to be usable inside of Teams, but it's just like an app that's been added to Teams, just another app that you can actually call up and actually select, right? And that's inside, and that's been essentially published to Teams. So that's very, very powerful. Okay, so that's how do we say it, the quickie version of showing you all the tools that can get you there. And it all starts here at the agent maker, from being able to create an agent and be able to go and start from this particular area. And at that point, the sky's the limit. And that would be a subject of another conversation in the meantime. Quick one. I just want to show you some links over here that we'll be sharing with you. There's some training. There's learn.microsoft.com people might have heard about. There's a scenario library that you can also find in this particular area, but the key one over here is the Agent Academy. That's the latest thing that just came out in the last couple of weeks. All of the things that I was showing you over there, you want to actually go through a lesson plan for it. They even show you how to make up your own dev tenant or your own trial that you can use to play with and have all the powers. It goes through it. In fact, I want to click that just so you can see what that looks like really quick. And control, click. This has been my favorite resource of late because I thought it did the best training that I've seen on Copilot Studios, and particularly the Agent Academy. All right, the Agent Academy. Hey, I'm a recruit. It's still growing, but it goes through, tells you how to set up the course, gives you an introduction to agents, goes through the fundamentals, and then it explains to you how to create these agents. By the way, the agent that we saw on M365 was called a declarative agent. They gave it a name. So there it is. And it shows you and it tells you how long it's going to take, a little mission brief, all the pieces and how to make it. You follow through with it. It actually, I think 90, unless I find a problem, 90% more of it, it actually works very well. How does it play in the non-Microsoft tools? There's two ways to play with those. One is through the connectors. The Power Platform, it has like about 1,500 connectors. They would use a connector to talk to the API of the non-Microsoft tool. So that's a cloud connector. If we want to use a non-Microsoft tool that say doesn't have a cloud connector, they have in Power Automate, they have Power Automate Desktop or RPA, where you would have to first create the automation to talk to that tool. If you create a Power Automate of any kind, you can now connect to that from Copilot. So maybe Copilot can say, I need to enter an order in this special feature of SAP, right? Well, it's not available in the cloud. It's only in this website. So somebody first creates the Power Automate that automatically enters data in there and returns information. So now I would create my Copilot. It says pass to that Power Automate the information I need, get the information back, and then make my decision to do whatever I need to do. That would be the way to connect to it. Not all of it's easy, and some of those connectors are touchy because they are third party. But for the most part, it's better than not having anything or having to build from scratch the applications.
Does the Agent Academy still require a Viva learning license?
No, it does not. It's free. In fact, it's on GitHub. You can go download it and make your own fork and make your own version of it. It's free. Free's good. All righty, we're at the Ask Me Questions for Anything here. So Craig can make his way to the to the train at some point over here.
You asked us the next meeting.
Which you want to go to a different slide? Sorry?
Do you have the information about the next?
Oh, the next meeting. You know what? I have to go to the website for that. I sort of did that on purpose, didn't I? Let's see. Let's go to M365Chicago.com. By the way, we are sort of semi-branded differently. We do have our Chicago Power Platform user group area, but we're part of the M365 Chicago community where we do our community events and everything else. And if you go to M365Chicago.com, hey, look, our next one coming up. Next phase, research and creation, smarter decisions in the age of Copilot. Essentially taking that and really deep diving those research tools and everything else to see how you can make the most out of them. And it's actually been given by a very special presenter who's been doing this for quite a while and our illustrious leader for our community. Heather is going to be doing this one, right? Here we go. Yes. Heather Cook. She's a principal PM at Microsoft. And she's going to be here at the hub. It's going to be live, and it's going to be this month on the 24th, the day before the AI, big AI conference.
Yeah.
The AI Roadshow.
Yes, we're going to do anything on the analyst agents.
I'm sorry, when?
Analyst agent.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if she's covering the analyst agent, but I would love to cover the analyst agent in detail because that's another one I play with, especially because I use it for spreadsheets and it creates Python code. Just spoiler. It's pretty amazing. It's like data hack. That one is like, that's beanie stuff. You go into it, you saw how long it took for the researcher to come out. By the way, the researcher did work eventually. It came back and it gave me info. Take a look. Look at all this nice little data that it gave me back on my thesis. Check it out. I'm going through all the detail. Links, research field, adopt agile. And it's not done actually. Research shows and it's still flashing, it's still thinking. And so I'm going to let it think. I'm going to let it go. But anyways, that was pretty cool. That's why if we're going to do like dive into the analysts and those things, I have to either pre-cook the stuff to show it, or it's like a workshop. In fact, that's why we have these workshops for that reason. Microsoft will have those kind of workshops. We have those kind of workshops for that reason, so people can go in and hit that rubber to the road.
Checked out the notebook feature in Copilot, M365 Copilot.
The notebook feature, you mean the pages, you mean?
No, hey.
Oh, this feature. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. I don't have a notebook on this one yet. I should have created
A
one.
page is like a loop page.
So let's say you receive an RFP, it's a $100K RFP, you want to read through that, upload it here, and then you can start a conversation about that RFP. So if you were to add an PDF here, one feature the only reason I use it, one feature I find really useful is when you upload a bunch of PDFs.
Yes.
It generates an audio discussing what's on those PDF files. It's like listening to a podcast.
Yeah, I love that feature.
Oh, that's one of my favorite features. I've done that. I've created several podcasts, and it's like, and so funny when it makes the podcast, it actually has like expressions. It goes like, I'm thinking about this, and maybe it like talks like real people. And I feel so left out when these two people decide to talk on the podcast over here.
Interestingly, split chance to make a video. It's the same people that narrate stuff.
Yes.
I think the only problem is you cannot download that on. Because I have not been able to.
Should be able to. I think.
So let me see if this will do it here while we're waiting.
What I imagine the future brings is, like you can see the later. Eventually, once you get used to doing this, and I think you just get speed.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just training yourself to bring your I've done some demos where you just talk to it. It's actually a really good way to when you're doing a demonstration, to get people out of the mode of thinking normally. So, like you can just have a straight on conversation. Hey, Copilot, I'm thinking of doing this presentation. What do you think about it? You could have like a full on conversation. Then you go into that typing. It's really good. I might do that next. In our October.
Okay, let me turn on autosave for this one over here really quick. And just save it. And watch this go. This is really cool. And come on, save. Here we go.
Yes. Yeah, I want to get to 620, so.
Now, again, a lot of these are like what you don't need an agent for or anything else. This is just out of the box Copilot. This one in particular. There is also a template, by the way, in Copilot Studio for creating an audio.
Welcome to today's overview. We'll be delving into the Regulatory Research MVP Tier 1 proposal, authored by the product engineering team. This document outlines an automated solution to apply regulatory rules, generate export readiness reports, and log audit evidence.
The goal here is to modernize how organizations handle product country regulatory compliance. This particular proposal presents a way to orchestrate multiple agents within Copilot Studio, focusing on transparency and structured automation for better auditability.
Precisely. The solution's architecture leverages technologies such as Copilot Studio, SharePoint Online, Power Automate, and standardized Word templates. We'll hear.
And listen to how they inflect and they're going through all their stuff.
Commissioner, audio file, reading.
No, it was audio file. It summarizes what's on that 800-page RFP. It's into a 5, 10, 15-minute conversation.
It's not like a reader. A reader's the same thing, right? Like you say, here's an audio reader. This is not a reader. This is like, I'm going to create a program based on here, which is,
Most useful is you can throw the document and you can ask about ideas, any kind of document, right? To work on something. It's like another person, you will, right?
yeah, yes,
You can just brainstorm.
that is ridiculously powerful.
Well, you mind if I cut out?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Thanks.
We're at open question time over here. Our folks online, hey, we didn't even see if there was any questions from the chat over here. We're gonna stop the presentation here in just a moment, as soon as I find out where did I put it? We'll be catching you. All right, I'm stopping the sharing. Oh, we have a question. Dennis, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. So I have to ask the hard question.
Yes.
So generally with this kind of solution, we have to go back to our clients and tell them what the costs and the licensing and that and so to do one of what you just kind of demonstrated, which is like a bit of.
Yes, so is the question about how it licenses?
So for the example that you guys demoed, where you created an agent that connected to external services, to Copilot Studio, and it saves to SharePoint, uses Power Automate, and it creates a report and does all these things, are those separate product licenses for each element? And then is that like part of like E5 licensing, or
So if you have a Copilot Studio license, you can use what's created from Copilot Studio and everything else, including the premium features, without having to pay extra at all. If you don't, it's called pay as you go if you want to use it. In other words, somewhere along the line, it has to be turned on so that they're going to charge the company for you using. That's the way that works. Or if Copilot Studio itself, which comes with, for $200 a month, 25,000 messages you can use, and every 25,000, you got to pay $200. That's messaging. Much easier to do pay as you go. Or just give the people the $30, pay the money, and you're done. That would be the best way.
Yeah.
Make sense? And by the way,
Makes
the Agent
sense.
Academy, at the very last lesson in the first recruiting area, is licensing.
Yeah.
The only
I
one
assumed
that
it was
ever talked about
expensive, but
licensing
that's
is
really
part of learning.
expensive. It's very pricey.
All right, hope that helps.
Thank you. Yes.
All righty. We're gonna stop the show here at this point, and, we got a question. So, Joe? Go ahead.
Yes.
Come on, Joe.
Yes, quick question. If you were going to demo and you're showing off these Copilot Studio features to a client who's interested but on the fence, what are a couple agents that you might start with to really show them where they could get ROI for that?
So you're asking for how you demo?
Yeah, if you were going to demo to a potential client or to your boss to try to convince them to get a license, that sort of thing.
So, basically, you saw that I had like a dev tenant. It's what I was using. It had a lot of the powers. In some of the cases, as far as doing a demo for it, it's if you can't use the organization's information, because that's usually the best place to demonstrate at the place where the data is. That's usually the best place. Short of that is to try it, which is essentially creating that information in somewhere where you have the piece that you want, and you basically set up a demo. That was very interesting. Is that you can actually use Copilot to say, give me the pieces of it that would make a good demo, and like just go back and forth until it creates all that material for you, and there's your demo. Usually it's very good because you can actually look under your cover and say, "Oh, demo still." The same tools that we use to do the work is the same tools that was used to make the demo.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so that would be my suggestion, say if you're trying to do a demo. But otherwise, as they say, you got to do the research on who am I dealing to, what's important to them, a little things like that, whatever you can do to get yourself that leg up, so that you're not just doing a general demo. Hello world, hey, look, here's a nice birthday card like right now. It's not like you have a money problem, let me solve your money problem. Let's make a demo that's geared to that problem.
Yep,
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks.
Sure. Anyone else? All right, Raquel, you got the feed for the main feed, and I'm going to hit the stop buttons here in a minute. Hopefully, we'll see you folks at the next session, which will also be hybrid.